Before we begin, here's a quick message from our sponsors, Voxy, the pay-as-you-go mobile network that gives you unlimited social media for as little as £10 a month. For a limited time only, sign up to Voxy using the link in the description to receive a £40 reward after only 2 monthly payments, and you'll also be directly supporting the channel. So click the link in the description to sign up now. Welcome back to Blues Focus TV. Today we are doing a match preview with Matt from Elm Park Royals. How are you, mate, this evening?
All good, all good. Reading FC is getting me down and seemingly is giving me a tickly cough at the moment. So yeah, it's just Reading FC at the moment. It's nothing really positive at the moment. It's just Reading FC really.
It's the Championship football, man. Honestly, it does it to you. It just gets you down.
Grind you down.
Those bits where you just sit between there's a part in the table where you just seem to meet the same teams every season. Like us and Reading, Reading and us are obviously very similar in terms of like always down that bit of the Championship, and you've got like teams like Cardiff as well and Bristol City recently as well. So you know, it's just become natural for us now. We just sit above the relegation zone, just never getting relegated, never going up at the table.
I have a feeling as well that Birmingham and Reading are the two longest lasting Championship teams left. I think, which
we're definitely the longest surviving, that's for sure. Because we went down in 2011, never been back up, never been down. But you've been up in 2014, 13?
12, 13, we're in the Premier League and been down ever since. So yeah.
Well, it's going to be an interesting talk, this one, so buckle up. But yeah, let's get into the game then. So what's your thoughts on the game? We've done a episode on Matt's channel already, so be sure to go and check that out. But yeah, we've talked a little bit about this before because we did this recording before. But what's your thoughts on this game going into it?
I mean, Reading FC at the moment, the form has just been dreadful. You know, we talked about it beforehand. Paul Ince has kind of pretty much just lost all the support of the fans at the moment because it's just the football has turned dire. It's just been defensive, home or away. We just sit in, we try and grind out seemingly 0-0 draws. And for a team that hasn't kept a clean sheet since December, it's not really a good idea because you're not going to keep a clean sheet. Yeah, but it's an odd one because it's one of those games which probably as an away fan, you probably think it's probably come right at the wrong time because just having a points deduction, will that galvanise the team? Because now, I mean, Paul Ince came out in his press conference today and said he admitted to the fact that maybe we'd been too defensive in the past few months. It's every Reading fan. I mean, it was quote tweeted, God knows how many times, and every Reading fan was seemingly like, "No shit," you know, is what we've been calling for weeks, months. You know, we went to Cardiff away. We hadn't won at home since I think it was 1st of October. Hadn't won at home for about 4 months. Sat in 3-4 shots and they win it in the 90th minute. You know, it's just been dreadful. But he came out today and said we're going to have to actually go for wins now. And it's like, well, why have you not done that the past few months? You know, but it's one of those games which I think if you get the first goal, the fans have already turned on Ince that there's been chance of you don't know what you're doing. We want Ince out. Second half, Ince make a sub. If you get that first goal, it's kind of it could turn quite toxic quite quickly. And of course, you know, you guys and your dressing room is going to be aware of that. You know, so yeah, it's just an odd game because it could really go one of two ways. The players might feel inspired. You know, they might actually want to go out and try and win a game for once, which would be nice to see. But yeah, there's just not really much hope of that because I've not seen that for months, really. Even the win against Rotherham that we had, that was lucky. 2 set pieces. It's pretty much the only way we get chances, to be honest, is set pieces. You know, open play is dire, but yeah, it could be a real gritty game. That's tend to have been how the Reading games have gone through the season. Very bitty, time wasting to try and grind out results. But yeah, I just bloody hope that we get 3 points because we're right back down there now, one point above the relegation zone. It's never a nice place to be. Yeah, so after feeling relatively safe at 46 points, to be back down there on 40 points. It's yeah, squeaky bum time for the last 7 games.
Yeah. It's how a couple of points off can make you feel, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you've got players like Andy Carroll and Mate. I can't. Is it
Yaki Mate.
Mate? That's
Mm.
it. So I always get mixed up with the E. It always makes me think Meaty. But you're quite a fair. You're a very tall and strong side, to be fair to you, and you've obviously still got some of those players that are really a very aerial prowess type of player.
Mm.
So I imagine that's your targets really of when you come into games. That is your things that you want to get onto the ball, really. Unless it's a different
Set
style of play
pieces.
you've tried to go for.
Nope, set pieces.
Mm,
We're very one dimensional in that aspect.
right.
And
Yeah.
I mean, even though we've had Andy Carroll up front, he's been playing 90 minutes every week, seemingly, much to most fans' dismay. Um, I don't think he's even. I don't think he's scored from a cross or from a header this season. All of his goals have pretty much come from set pieces, and headers from a corner or headers from a free kick. We've got more goals from set pieces than open play the whole season. And if you like discount deflections and that, it is, I think we've scored something ludicrous, like 6 or so goals across the season that have actually come from our own play, where we've actually fashioned a chance and it's not been from a rebound or keeper's parries it or a deflection.
Mm,
Yeah, it's set pieces, which I guess, when you've got Andy Carroll, Lucas Shaw when he plays, Yaki Mate, they're all tall, got tall defenders as well. Like I say, we're a big team, we're a strong team, we're a physical team. That's kind of what Paul Ince tried to instill in the team early in the season. We're gonna barrel about, we're gonna be gritty, we're gonna outwork a team, outmuscle a team.
and
But
has that
that's
been
kind
the
of
case?
early season, yes, but it's just it's faded off through the season. But I think more of it is the reason why it's faded off is because of the way we set up. Like I say, we pretty much set up the last 3 months to just not or to try and draw games 0-0, and it's just been the toughest, direst watch that I can remember. And I mean, we've had the likes of Paul Clement managing us, and I thought that football was crap. And
Mm,
yeah, like fans have even said that, oh, blimey, I preferred Paul Clement football because at least we'd actually have shots. There's been so many games this season where we've had under 5 shots, less than 5 shots, which is
wow.
just crazy, really. To like even in home games, and like I say, just the chances come from set pieces, and when you go into a tough run, that football is like most. I guess if you're winning those games and scoring and winning games, maybe that's why we were happy at the start of the season, because it's not really changed much the way we've scored. It was still from set pieces early in the season, but it actually seemed like we were outworking teams. And there was a brilliant
Mm,
game where we beat Blackburn 3-0 at the start of the season, where we just dominated them in every element of the game. But yeah, it's just we play for set pieces, and yes, we're quite good at them seemingly, but yeah, it's a tough watch.
mm.
The most frustrating thing is obviously, as we discussed earlier, was Lucas Shaw, top championship goal scorer, and he just can't get a game. He's on the bench every time. I mean, he comes off at the week, comes on at the weekend against Bristol, scores. He's a goal scorer, but he's sat on the bench because we got a 33, 34-year-old Andy Carroll who's seemingly immobile playing over him, just because Paul Ince doesn't know any other football apart from lump it to Andy Carroll. So it's, yeah.
It seems so strange when you analyze other teams from an outside perspective, and you see players like Lucas Shaw, who clearly was, he was a. I mean, I remember him for Wednesday best, really, because he was probably one of their best players in that time when they were trying to push for promotion. You imagine, why is he
And he
not
was
in the
played out of
team?
position then. He was played on the wing for
Yeah.
Wednesday because so many Wednesday fans, I remember when we got him, were saying, oh, if on his day, brilliant. If you play him at striker, fantastic. But he was always playing on the wing for them. And I mean, since he came, I mean, he's played striker for us
Mm,
pretty much since he's been with us. And I mean, his goal rate is pretty much well, before this season anyway, was 1 in 2. It like if he played a full season, injuries was a problem for him in previous seasons, but if he played a full
right.
season, he was in and around 20 goals. If it was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, he was always in and around it. But this season, for some reason, Paul Ince just likes Andy Carroll more, which is crazy
Yeah.
given that Lucas Xiao's actually the highest scorer under Paul Ince
Mm,
over his entire tenure, even looking back at last season. Yeah, it's just frustrating, really,
mm.
because yeah, you've got a player there that can score out of nothing, really. Some of the goals he scores is brilliant, but yeah, he's just languishing on the bench. I'm longing for the day where I'll see Andy Carroll on the bench and Lucas Shaw starting. I have to say, maybe it'll be this weekend. Who knows? But
Maybe,
I
who
doubt
knows?
it.
Speaking on touching on Paul Ince there, I mean, you've said about him starting Andy Carroll over Lucas Zhao, the terrible football, the one-dimensional teams. I mean, how much could this be his last game? I mean, like, if not though, how much more does he have to do in order to get the sack? Because it doesn't sound nowhere near as good. I mean,
No,
it just sounds dull and lethargic, really.
just summed it up perfectly. To be honest,
Yeah.
yeah, I think most fans were hoping with the international break just gone, that was going to be the time when the board will make the decision. But as he's got through that, and with 7 games to go, I mean, a lot of fans still want him to go, but I don't think, like genuinely, I don't think he'll go before the end of the season. I think they'll part ways in the summer, but
Mm.
whether that's with us in League One or still in the Championship, who knows? And I think that's what a lot of Reading fans' fears are, because I think a lot of fans have resigned themselves to the fact that, well, if Ince is still here, we're probably in League One. That's why it's kind of got so toxic, so downbeat in the fan base at the moment, because yeah, everyone's just lost the faith in Ince. Hopefully the players have still got faith in him, because yeah, there's not a huge amount really left in the crowd.
Yeah, I suppose that's the risk you run, isn't it? So you either keep with him until the end of the season, and then you part ways with him, and then you get a new manager in for the summer, or you take it now and you get somebody else in. I mean, if you were to sack him on the spot right this second, who would you get in?
Oh, there's a question.
If you can't think of certain, like a specific person, what's the type of manager you would like as well, though? Because I know that can be quite a broad question sometimes of what manager you would want.
A manager that can just create chances and open play.
Uh-huh.
That's just it at the moment. Like, I know a lot of fans, to be honest, have talked about. I mean, Noel Hunt is a Reading FC legend. He's
Mm,
managing our under 21s at the moment. People have talked about him potentially stepping up. Graham Murty's been linked as well. Again, Reading FC legend. Obviously, spent quite a long time at Rangers in their academy, caretaker boss there for a few games as well. Yeah, like I just think most fans just want something or a manager that can just give them hope when they go to a game. Because I generally think a lot of fans have kind of lost hope with going to Reading games at the moment, which is sad, really, because we've seemingly said this season after season. It was like that under Paunovic last season when he eventually got the boot. Before that, Jose Gomez, it was the same. Um, Clement before that. The only real time really when I think fans were a bit happier was ironically when Mark Bowen was manager, when he steadied the ship after Jose Gomez, and he famously appointed himself manager. Yeah, that was a fun one. But yeah, it's just I just think that's it. We just want a manager that can just give fans hope at the end of the
mm,
day, because stuff seems to be like, as much as the points deduction looks bad on the outside, I think a lot of stuff behind the scenes has happened this season, which has been good. Restructuring, Mark Bowen coming back as director of football is good, because we had no director of football for about 4 seasons, and it showed. We were relying on super agents, so on Kia Urabachan, who is just a leech on football, to be honest, and whoever he
mm.
touches seemingly, you know, nearly goes
Seems
into
to be a lot of those
administration.
around at the moment in football clubs.
Oh, it's dreadful. Yeah, like people say that agents don't run football, but actually, well, Kia Rabichan isn't an agent; he's an advisor. He's not even got an agent's
Right.
license. But yeah, I mean, you look at his track record. QPR nearly sent them into administration. His dealings at Arsenal in the latter part of Wenger's time. some of the money that he threw away there. Everton as well recently, and obviously Reading. He's been leached onto Reading since about 17, 18, really.
Wow.
And
So
yeah,
it's quite a long time, isn't it?
it's crazy. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he's a close friend apparently of the owner, and the owner came in obviously after our playoff lost to. Well, actually, no, it was halfway through the Fulham second leg in the playoff semi-final. It was the weirdest takeover ever,
Mm.
announced halfway through the second half.
Yeah.
And yeah, since he's come in, he's a close friend of the owner and seemingly thought he was a good man to trust. But yeah, no Reading fan wants to see him near the stadium, to be honest, or anywhere near Reading, to be honest. So, but yeah,
Mm.
it's been too long, really.
Trying to let's lighten the mood a little bit because I'm sensing some
Yeah,
bad
it's
vibes
it's
here.
it's 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 gone very. Yeah, this wasn't supposed to be a Reading FC counselling session.
Yeah, with two teams in a very similar boat, Blues and Reading. We've both been in the Championship for over 10 years now, or we over 10 years this season.
Yeah,
This
or
and yeah.
next season. Yeah, this is our 10th season
Oh
back in the
God, honestly.
Championship, and yeah, actually, well, we discussed it before, didn't we? The
Mm.
kind of run with Birmingham that Birmingham have been on the past 6, 7 seasons, and Reading have kind of been similar, apart from we've just had a few good
Yeah, a couple
seasons.
of playoff pushes here and there. I
Yeah.
mean, that was towards the start of it, I suppose. And the
Mm.
season we came down, we did have a playoff push. In the next season, we also had Europe as well and a mad FA Cup run as well. So that was an eventful season. That was,
Yeah. That was
and
after the Carabao
obviously,
Cup, wasn't it, when you won the Carabao Cup?
yeah, it
Or
was.
yeah, or League
Yeah,
Cup, whatever
it
it's
was
called
the
then.
Carling Cup as it was at the
Carling
time.
Cup.
I
Yeah.
still refer to it as that because it's just the one that comes naturally, I suppose,
Yeah.
to me. But yeah, it was a that mental season that was, and obviously the ones in the Premier League before, and I suppose that's what you have when you have parachute payments, isn't it? When you're there and there, but once they've
Mhm.
weared off, you either go relegated or you go bust, really. So
I think
that's how we are
both
at the moment.
both of us have done very well to absolutely throw those parachute payments away. We can cry
Yeah,
on
I
each
know,
other's
yeah.
shoulders in that case.
Need a good hug from both of us, man. But yeah, let's get on to this segment idea that we did in the podcast. If you watch if you're a Blues fan and you keep up with our stuff, it's very similar to the Inside the Actor Studio questionnaire. I don't know whether you've watched it before, but it's very simple. It's very just to get your ideas and your creative juices flowing, I suppose, really. And they're sort of based off the questions, and I've done them with a Reading twist, obviously, because it's very easy to do these things. But only a couple of questions though, because obviously my knowledge on Reading isn't as good as yours, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, let's go on with the first question. Very simple. What sound or noise do you love at Reading?
Sound or noise? Ooh. Um, I think I'm going to go with a chant, and it's a simple chant. Since I was young, it's almost become a bit of a almost like a go-to chant at Reading of late. I mean, there's been a lot of stick, obviously, about the Medeski and now SCL over the years for its atmosphere, but it's been a lot better this season. And yeah, if we've won a game, usually we kind of end it and after the game with us since I was young. And yeah, it's not a noise, I guess. It's a bit more of a chant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Can't think of many other noises. You can't really hear the turbine in the background, so I can't really go with that one. So
Well, I suppose then that offers the opposite question. What sound or noise do you hate at Reading?
can I go with when a team comes to Reading?
Yes, it can be any noise,
When
really, I
when
suppose. Yeah.
Millwall come to town and they just do the mill, it's just the most, and like that people either love that or hate it.
Mm. How
I
close to the
just
away end do you sit?
I actually sit in Club 1871, which is the side next to the away fans.
Oh, really? So it's
Not with
very
the
close then.
Yeah, not with the kids up top that seemingly spend all game watching the other fans rather than the game. But yeah, I stand to the near the scoreboard of Club 1871.
Mhm.
Yeah. When Millwall come to town, it's just like when you hear that, it's like a part of me does kind of like it because I know how much it annoys me, and I know how much I'd
Yeah.
like that if I was the other side. But yeah, just throw that one in the bin.
A relative question to ask to what you've just said. Preferably used towards the Millwall fans. What's your favourite curse word to use at the football at Reading?
Oh, I'm not going to get myself in trouble here, am I?
No,
Um,
we're terrible for swearing. We've always been told off for swearing too much in vlogs and podcasts and everything.
I'm going to go with one against the ref. You don't know what you're doing, or just something like yeah. I can't think. Yeah, I'm going to go with like just so you don't know what you're doing, or just you shit ref.
Yeah.
Seemingly say that a lot in the championship. It's
I mean, that's
never
fair enough,
ending.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go with that. A bit of ref abuse. Who doesn't like that? Come on.
Maybe a bit of a personal question. What was the last Reading game you cried at?
Oh my word.
So I imagine there's been a lot of apathy in the recent games that you've been
Actually,
to.
yeah. It's weird. In the past couple of seasons, I've just come to expect disappointment. So even like the Fulham 7-0 last year at home, that was one of the most dire games I've been to. I was just stood there just watching it, just in disbelief, just like shaking my head. Didn't cry. Went home. Didn't cry, but I was just like, well,
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know what to do with myself right now. It's weird. I have to say I was close. Actually, I say last season it's come to be disappointment, but last season we came back from 4-1 down against Swansea at home, and it pretty much all but confirmed our survival last season. That was a really nice moment, and I was after it. I was a bit teary eyed after it because it was just relief. It was
Mm.
just relief because last season, I mean, again by Christmas time, I'd resigned myself to relegation and Reading to relegation. I didn't think we were going to stay up, and that comeback was, I mean, 4-1 to then draw 4-4 in the last 20 minutes. That doesn't happen often. And it
Mm.
was a last minute, 94th minute or 5th minute equaliser by Tom McIntyre, a defender. Easter weekend it was as well. It was actually Easter Monday
Oh, really?
last
Yeah.
season. Yeah, that was. I'm going to go with that. It wasn't full on crying, but I'd have to go back a few more seasons. That was probably Huddersfield playoff
Mm.
final, but again, that wasn't tears. It was just dejection because it was a
Yeah.
dreadful game. But
I
yeah,
suppose you only really cry when things go well for you at the football because it's a lot of emotion.
yeah,
You're celebrating, and then once it's all over, you've got time to just be really happy about things. And
yeah. Well, like
usually that is the crying thing. Yeah.
I remember going home after that Swansea game and just because again the atmosphere was incredible. Like when we were coming back in the last 10 minutes, we got back to 4-3. It was about 75 minutes to go, and Swansea had just sat back, camped back. We were pounding their goal, and then we finally got the breakthrough, and it was 95th minute, and yeah, it was just relief,
Mm.
absolute utter relief, and just elation.
And then finally, my last question. This one might rack your brain a little bit, but I mentioned it in the podcast last week, and I was quite proud of it. Uh, if you were to rob a bank with 3 other Reading players, past or present, who would be your getaway driver, your locksmith, and who would be on crowd control? It's a
Oh
very
my
broad,
word!
very detailed question.
Oh God!
Think of like proper
So
loud players to be on crowd control, I would advise.
getaway driver, I'd probably go back a few years and choose someone who was a bit of a flop at Reading, but I mean, he was a nutter. Would be Royston Drenthe. He was
I know that player for some reason. I don't know
he
why.
played at
What does he?
Everton, played at Real Madrid. We got him in the
Yeah.
Premier League, came in with lots of promise, but he was rubbish,
Mm.
absolutely rubbish.
Was he in the Premier League team in 2000 oh, I can't remember now.
12, 13, he was, yeah, he
Yeah.
was. I'd choose him as my getaway driver, I think. What was the other two options again? Crowd control and
Locksmith, it's like breaking the
locksmith.
lock, I suppose, to the
Oh God.
vault.
Crowd control. It'd probably be between Andy Carroll and Alex Pearce
Mm.
because both of them are just mammoths of men. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go with those. Actually, are we talking ex players as well? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
we can talk ex-players, yeah.
Alex Pearce or Andy Carroll, I think, for that one.
Uh-huh.
And a locksmith. I'm trying to think of intelligent Reading players, but there's not really many intelligent players that I can think of.
Many
Um,
intelligent players, full stop, really.
Good point. It's a very good point. Um, I'd go Graham Murty, reliable, I know he'll be able to do something under pressure. So yeah, Graham Murty for locksmith, Andy Carroll and Alex Pearce on crowd control, and Royston Drenthe for getaway
Yeah.
driver.
Do you think you get away with the crime with that
Yeah,
team? Yeah.
I think Royston Drenthe. Actually, I just remembered Lucas Zhao. I think was banned for driving for speeding.
That's
That's
brilliant.
no, sorry, Roston, you're being chucked out. No, Lucas Zhao getaway driver because yeah, he was done for speeding, and I think he's disqualified now. So yeah, I'm gonna go Lucas Zhao. Yeah,
Amazing.
no one will catch him.
No, I imagine you won't probably. That's brilliant, that is. But yeah, it's been a good chat, really, Matt. I just want to finish off with your score predictions for the game on Friday.
Oh, we did this on my podcast, and I said that I've not predicted a Reading win in about 7 or 8 games because I just can't predict a win. I don't know. There's something about this. It's one of those games which just I think genuinely anything could happen. It could
Mm.
be 2-1. It could be 3-0 to Birmingham. It could be 3-0 to Reading. I think a lot of it, again, football cliches will be straight on me for this, but a lot depends on the first goal. Because yeah, if you guys get that, it'll be dreadful in the stadium. It'll be so toxic, I think. But if we start on the front foot, like I say, the atmosphere's been good at the ground this year for kind of how poor the football's been. If they get the step up, get a goal, and the fans get behind the team, you know, we could just sneak a win. I'm gonna stay with. No, I'm not gonna stay with my original prediction. No, I can't. I wanted to do it on my podcast because I've not predicted a win in so long, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 1-1. Sorry,
Mm.
boring. Score draw.
I get crucified every week for saying 1-1 or a draw in anything because I'm always been told that on my podcast, I'm always been told that I'm always sitting on the fence with all these things. But I don't know. I just always think we're going to draw. That's the thing. So, yeah, I said this on Matt's podcast. So you can go listen to that. Is it a podcast or is it YouTube channel? I always get mixed up with the proper terminology.
Podcast. Yeah, yeah.
Podcast, yeah.
We did podcasts and then put them all up on Spotify, Apple,
Mhm.
Apple Podcasts and everything.
Yeah. I said 2-2. I'm going to stick to that just because I feel like I can see that happening. I feel like we don't particularly do well against Reading. I always feel like they are a bit of a tough team for us. I mean, we did win 3-2 with the earlier in the season, but we should have won that game 3-0. We shouldn't have conceded those 2 goals, but that's just us against Reading, unfortunately. It's just how we roll, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-2. I don't think neither team's particularly great at defending, so I think a draw is on the cards. But yeah, Matt, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. It's been really good to have you on and get your
Thank you.
thoughts and insights onto your team that you love, Reading FC.
Hopefully, I've not depressed it too much.
Oh, trust me, we're 2 teams that are very similar. People are used to this sort of content. It's
We'll
when we get on the Watford people or actually no, the Sheffield United fans who are all like really happy with everything. It's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm not used to this. This isn't normal. This is
We'll have to do a joint counselling session between Birmingham and Reading fans and just cry on each other's shoulders.
That would make a good skit. That would just have us like Birmingham City and Reading counselling sessions inside free drop-ins. That'd be quite funny to
Perfect.
do.
Twitter Space. That's what it's there for now, isn't it? Twitter
Yeah,
Space.
literally the Twitter
Online
Spaces.
counselling.
Oh, brilliant. Be sure to go check out the Elm Park Royals on. You've got Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
Yeah,
haven't
Twitter,
you?
Instagram, Facebook, and then podcast is posted onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your podcast services. So yeah,
Wicked. So be sure to go check the guys out. They've been great in this past few hours, just helping us out. So yeah, be sure to go and check them out, and be sure to check us out at Blues Focus. All the links are on screen and in the description down below. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Tommy_Kelsall. Thank you for watching and keep right on.